Hello viewers, I'm your host Shivangi Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with second edition of India-Nepal Economic Partnership Summit 2023, which was recently organized at Birganj in Nepal. The event was a joint effort by the Consulate General of India in Nepal and Birganj Chamber of Commerce and Industries. The summit played a role to create a platform through joint action for deeper economic engagement between India and Nepal, with focus on remittances, imports, exports, and balance of payment challenges in Nepal. Take a look.
In order to discuss the way further to strengthen the bilateral economic partnership, a one-day India-Nepal Economic Partnership Summit was organized at Birganj in Nepal. The event, organized in association with the Consulate General of India, Birganj, and Birganj Chamber of Commerce and Industries. While setting the tone of the summit, the session chair Atul K. Thakur, who is the Secretary of India-Nepal Center, PhD CCI, reflected on the necessity for having a collaborative approach among the stakeholders in the government and industry to tap the rich potential and also cope the challenges in post-pandemic times through India-Nepal economic cooperation.
In today's time, Nepal being the friendliest neighbor of India, has an active role to play in South Asia region. And as we all are aware that SAARC has been mostly dysfunctional over the years. And other experiments like BPIN too has its own limitations. So now it's time that friendly neighbors like India and Nepal should come forward and also create the basis for sub-regional cooperation.
The summit dwelt on new roadmap for accelerating India-Nepal bilateral cooperation, promoting industrial development in Nepal and India, revisiting bilateral trade policies, expanding bilateral and sub-regional economic cooperation, and improving border area development and connectivity. In his opening remarks, Anil Kumar Agrawal, President Birganj Chamber of Commerce and Industries BICCI, recounted Birganj's achievement as a major trade hub of Nepal and how BICCI has been contributing over the decades and making the industry and trade crucially important for India-Nepal economic relations.
हामीसँग बिरगन्जमा ठुला संरचनाहरू ड्राई पोर्ट आईसीपी सबैहरू स्थापना भइसकेको अवस्था रहेको छ। यसलाई बढी भन्दा बढी कसरी चलायमान बनाउन सकिन्छ, आउने दिनहरुमा जुन प्यासेन्जरको मुभमेन्ट छ, अहिले सारा कार्गोको मुभमेन्टहरु आईसीपी बाट डाइभर्ट भएको छ। आउने दिनहरुमा प्यासेन्जरको लागि पनि प्यासेन्जर भेहिकल प्लस प्यासेन्जरहरुको लागि पनि आईसीपी बाट मुभमेन्ट हुने व्यवस्था भइदिएपछि धेरै सजिलो हुने हुन्थ्यो र त्यो मोनिटरिङ पनि सजिलै हुन सकिन्छ।
The chief guest and keynote speaker of summit, Devi Sahai Meena, Consul General of India in Nepal, reassured New Delhi's support to accelerate the economic cooperation between India and Nepal.
India is Nepal's largest trading partner and the largest source of foreign investments. India accounts for almost 2/3 of Nepal's merchandise trade, 1/3 of trade in services, 1/3 of foreign direct investments, almost 100% of petroleum supplies, and a significant share of remittances.
The summit played a role to create a platform through joint action for deeper economic engagement between India and Nepal, with focus on remittances, imports, exports, and balance of payment challenges in Nepal. As per the organizers, it channelized investment from India to Nepal and other ways round, and re-established the India-Nepal bilateral relations as the core strength of the sub-regional cooperation in South Asia. It played a role to create a sustained convergence of industry and government for thriving on the mutually beneficial India-Nepal bilateral relations in all crucial realms. The second edition of India-Nepal Economic Partnership Summit also raised the discussion further and ideate for making cluster-based economic zones across Nepal.
Let's now move to Pakistan, where Baloch nationalists protesting against extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances were arrested and blocked from entering Islamabad. The police used water cannons and tear gas on the demonstrators and took several women protesters to police stations. The long march was initiated on December 6 from Balochistan's Turbat. The movement made its way to Quetta, involving families of missing persons and people killed without trial. The march had started to move towards Islamabad after a successful stop at Dera Ismail Khan. A report. The long march against the Baloch genocide reached Islamabad in the early hours of December 21. However, the police violently dispersed the peaceful demonstrators. The Islamabad police baton charged and gas shelled the participants, leaving several of them unconscious. The woman who led the march, Maharang Baloch, was taken into custody along with other protesters, while several demonstrators, including children, were badly injured. People were rounded up and placed into transport vehicles. Thousands had reached the capital city of Pakistan to support the march against the ethnic minority. Earlier, Maharang Baloch was seen describing how the Islamabad police and government were employing various strategies to halt the march.
इससे पहले हम जहाँ से गुजरे हैं वहाँ गिरफ्तारियाँ हुई है, FIR हुए हैं हमारे साथियों पर, लेकिन ये तहरीक नहीं रुकी है। और हम फिर से ये कह रहे हैं कि हमें जहाँ रोका जाएगा वहाँ हम एहतजाजी धरना देंगे। हमारा ये था कि हमारे सारे साथी जो है ना वहाँ नेशनल प्रेस क्लब में हमारा इंतज़ार कर रहे थे, वहाँ हमें एहतजाजी धरने को ज्वाइन करना था, जिसमें साफ़ी हजरात थे और इस्लामाबाद के जितने भी सियासी पार्टियाँ थी वो सब वहाँ मौजूद थे। तो एक तरफ हमें यहाँ से मूव करने नहीं दिया जा रहा है और दूसरी तरफ नेशनल जो प्रेस क्लब है उसको भी सील कर दिया गया है। ये इलेक्शन के दौर पर और यहाँ पे जो इस्लामी जमहूरिया पाकिस्तान है उसकी हकीकत यहाँ आया होती है कि यहाँ पर कौमों को, जो आबाद कौमें हैं, उनकी आवाज़ कितनी मायने रखती है इस रियासत के लिए।
The long march was initiated on December 6 from Balochistan's Turbat. The movement made its way to Quetta, involving families of missing persons and people killed without trial. The march had started to move towards Islamabad after a successful stop at Dera Ismail Khan. For decades, Balochistan has been affected by human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings. There are several cases of torture and arbitrary detentions, but restrictions on press freedom hampers independent reporting. The Balochistan conflict has a long, complex history, but since the time the region caught China's eye, the conflict has intensified. Baloch nationalists, forming many groups, have been fighting the state to oppose curbs on civil rights and the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor projects that they say deprive locals of natural resources while giving few jobs. China is acting like the foe of the Baloch people by collaborating with Pakistan, the enemy of the Baloch nation. Islamabad and Beijing jointly want to strengthen Punjabi colonization over Balochistan for their expansionist evil designs and economic benefits.
नना बलूचिस्तान है। बलूच अपनी सरजमीन बलूचिस्तान के लिए जद्दोजहद कर रहा है और जो भी बलूच और बलूचिस्तान को अलग करने की बात करेगा, हम यही कहते हैं कि बलूचिस्तान की सरजमीन के लिए बलूच जो है ना 70 सालों से जद्दोजहद कर रहा है, वो आगे भी करेगा। और हमारा ये नारा सारे पाकिस्तान के एजेंट, सारे वज़रा ये सुन ले कि हम बलूचिस्तान का नारा लगाते लगाते जो है ना अपने खून से जो है ना कुर्बानी करेंगे, लेकिन बलूचिस्तान का जो हमारा क्लेम है वो खत्म नहीं होगा।
Baloch activists have time and again urged the international community to intervene and stand against the ongoing violence in the region.
We want freedom! We want freedom!
They are organizing a series of protests to make the international community aware of Pakistan's atrocities in Balochistan. Protesters carrying placards can be seen chanting slogans against the Pak atrocities. They are waiting for someone to listen to them. Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent. Moving on. Opposition strike recently turned violent in Bangladesh, where protesters set a train ablaze, killing 4 people. Tens of thousands of supporters of Bangladesh's main opposition party took to the streets of the capital on December 16, defying fears of being arrested ahead of the country's national election next year. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is seeking a 5th term, the 4th time in a row, while opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party has boycotted the election, demanding an interim caretaker government. BNP leaders are claiming that they do not feel that the elections will be fair and free. A report.
Huge plumes of smoke were seen rising out of a train in Bangladesh after protesters set it ablaze on December 19. According to reports, 4 people, including a mother and child, were killed after 3 compartments of the train were set on fire. The train was heading for the capital of Dhaka from the northern district of Netrokona when passengers saw the flames a short distance from its destination. The tragic incident was the latest to happen during a countrywide strike called by the opposition to press its demand for the government to resign ahead of next month's general elections. Tens of thousands of supporters of Bangladesh's main opposition party took to the streets of the capital on December 16, defying fears of being arrested ahead of the country's national election next year. Some activists and supporters of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party gathered in front of the padlocked headquarters entrance in Dhaka.
এই 7 তারিখের নির্বাচন মতামত হচ্ছে জনগণ ভোটবিহীন অবস্থানে থাকবে, ভোট কেন্দ্রে যাবে না এবং জনগণ বুঝে ফেলছে যে সরকারের একটি রং এবং তামাশামূলক নির্বাচন। এই নির্বাচনে অংশগ্রহণ আমরা জনসাধারণ করব না এবং বিএনপি তো প্রশ্নই আসে না, বিএনপির সাথে সাথে সাধারণ জনগণও এই নির্বাচনে অংশগ্রহণ করবে।
Bangladesh is gearing up for national elections on January 7. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is seeking a 5th term, the 4th time in a row, while BNP has boycotted the election, demanding an interim caretaker government. BNP leaders are claiming that they do not feel that the elections will be free and fair. Sheikh Hasina, on the other hand, has consistently dismissed calls from the opposition to resign and has accused the BNP of stoking anti-government demonstrations.
এবং অবৈধ সরকার যে বলছে বিএনপি গুহায় চলে গেছে, বিএনপি গুহায় চলে যায় নাই, সেটারই প্রমাণ আজকে সারা ঢাকা শহরে বিএনপির তৃণমূলের নেতা কর্মীরা রাজপথে নেমে এসেছে সেই সরকারকে দেখানোর জন্য যে বিএনপি গুহায় চলে যায় নাই, বিএনপি রাজপথে আছে, রাজপথেই থাকবে, রাজপথ থেকে আমরা এই ফয়সালা করে নেব, এই অবৈধ সরকারকে বিদায় জানাবো।
Among the 44 political parties that are officially registered, 26 have decided to run in the elections, while the remaining 14 have decided to abstain. Political analysts say that the absence of major players in elections will favor the Awami League's return to power. However, some reports suggest that Islamist groups will be on rise if BNP opts out.
The enriching history and the unique culture of India's Bihar state is its speciality. The state has maintained essence for ages in the form of fairs and festivals. Today in our show, we'll give you a glimpse of the multicultural state of Bihar, which is celebrating one of Asia's largest cattle fairs. Sonpur Mela in a bid to preserve its regional heritage. Let's have a look. The land of Bihar embodies a rich cultural history and civilization values. Bihar is not just a blessed region where religions like Buddhism and Jainism established and thrived, but it is also the birthplace of several remarkable individuals whose efforts and achievements have shaped the path of history. Even today, the state is striving to preserve its age-old cultural legacy through fairs and festivals. Keeping its enriching cultural and historical essence relevant in a time like today, the state of Bihar has organized its month-long annual fair, Sonpur Mela 2023, in a bid to preserve its regional heritage. Sonpur Mela is considered one of Asia's largest cattle fairs, which is organized at the confluence of two major rivers of India, Ganga and Gandak, and which takes place on the occasion of Kartik Purnima in November. For the entire month, devotees throng to the confluence of rivers to take a holy dip in Ganga and Gandak and offer prayers in the Harihar Nath temple.
बहुत प्राचीन मंदिर है ये 14,000 वर्ष पूर्व का मंदिर बना हुआ है और यहाँ हरि और हर दोनों हैं। जो स्वयं ब्रह्मा का स्थापना किया हुआ यहाँ शिवलिंग है। जो शिवलिंग है नीचे उसी में नारायण का भी वास है, आधा विष्णु है और आधा शिव है। यहाँ जो नारायणी में जो स्नान करते हैं और वहाँ का जल जो नारायण को चढ़ाते हैं और जो जल लेकर मुख में रखते हैं वो नर जो है वो नारायण हो जाते हैं। ऐसा यहाँ का प्राचीन वर्ष का नियम है और यहीं गजेंद्र मोक्ष हुआ था। गज और ग्राह को भगवान विष्णु द्वारिका से आकर के उद्धार किए थे।
People from different corners of the country and outside gather at the fair with their loved ones in large numbers to enjoy the festivity. Families go to the temple to seek the blessings of the deities and thereafter head to the fair. It is believed whoever comes to the temple with a sincere heart never goes empty-handed, as believers say Lord Vishnu often comes to the earth during the auspicious month.
कार्तिक पूर्णिमा के बाद क्या है ना कि यहाँ पे 1 महीने का पूरा मेला लगता है और मेला की वजह से भी यहाँ पे और ऐसा बोलते हैं ना कि भगवान विष्णु जी धरती पे आते हैं और पूरे 1 मंथ यहाँ रहते हैं, इसलिए आए।
Not only cattle, but you will find a variety of animals with their different breeds such as dogs, elephants, birds and camels sold at the fair. The period of the commencement of the fair is not known, but it is believed that the cattle fair eventually comes to the prominence during the reign of Aurangzeb when the elephant trade went up. Sonpur was famous at the time of the 19th century when a large number of Englishmen and Europeans visited this place for social gatherings.
और 35 साल से आ रहे हैं और यह मेला सुप्रसिद्ध हरिहर छत्तर मेला विदेशों में भी प्रसिद्ध है। अपने इंडिया के अलावा भी बाहर से भी लोग आते हैं। पहले के अनुसार में भी में जानवरों का कुछ कमी हुई है, जो जितना जानवर पहले
पशु मेला के रूप में ही
पशु मेला का नाम था, लेकिन पहले से पशु का कुछ आना जाना कम हुआ है।
With time, not only did we see the market evolving, but how we enjoy fairs and festivals, bringing joy and refreshment to our lives also got different meaning. Today we take pleasure in big giant rides, which is one witnessed while exploring this giant fair of Sonpur. Apart from the carnival theatre, delicious food, thrilling rides and the trendy 360-degree selfie booth, a traditional puppet show was drawing crowds as part of a government awareness initiative.
बहुत अच्छा लगा।
चिल्ला क्यों रही थी?
क्योंकि आज फर्स्ट बार सब चिल्ला रहे थे, मैं आवाज निकाला। ऐसे कभी कोई झूले पे आवाज नहीं निकला।
क्या लग रहा था उस समय चिल्लाते समय?
बस कुछ नहीं, एंजॉय लिए हम लोग, और क्या लगेगा।
लेकिन जो घूम रहा था तो नीचे ऊपर हो रहा था, तो वो कैसा लग रहा था?
बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत अच्छा।
Carnivals like Sonpur Mela are a glowing testimony of how rich and diversified India's ancient civilization remained. Also, folk tales behind such fairs personified their historical significance. Artistically decorated animals and handicraft stalls at Sonpur Mela are a spectacle to behold. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.